And where we at now?
Miss Renee Show.
If they didn't know it's
Thank you, Musta.
hey.
Welcome to the Renee Allen and Friends Show, right here on WLVS in the nation's capital, across from Howard University. And I'm sitting next to one of my treasured friends. I mean, we have not been friends for long, but you would never know it. Like minds know like hearts. So I just want to say this is a special edition of the Renee Allen and Friends Show, which we will put out shortly, maybe within the next 48 hours, because my girl, Melody Garcia, was in town for an event, which I'll let her talk about.
Yes.
And I said, I have to have you on because we keep missing each other. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic.
You look fantastic.
Well, thank you so much. It's
You
been
always
a busy
blinging.
day.
She's always blinging. Even her shoes are blinging, okay?
We're not going to give the secrets now. We're not going to give the secrets.
So listen, tell us why
Yes.
you're here.
So I actually went here for a global impact event that took place today. Global. We're talking about global vision. I actually lead Orlando, Florida's UNICEF Unite team.
Ooh.
So we were up in Capitol Hill all day with over 400
Wow.
advocates to represent children around the world and to fight against unfair and to end violence against children. So Florida in itself had 18 meetings in Capitol Hill. So we divided and conquered. My team itself had 6 meetings to basically plead with government for the 2020 appropriations on funding for UNICEF and talk about the very important issues that's facing today's children of the world.
Yes. You know, I love her. We actually met in an event last year, and Melanie is huge on human trafficking as well. And first of all, let's talk about you. You know,
Let's
who
talk about
are you? I mean, I know you're best-selling international author and all that, influencer, but who is this beautiful soul here?
So my name again is Melody Garcia. Prior to this, I had a very interesting life story, which is what connected me to where I am today, which is for those of you that have seen Crazy Rich Asian movie, that was kind of my past life. I came from a very prominent family in the Philippines, maids, best private schools, still stayed humble. My parents were huge in humanitarianism, but very successful in their own things and in life that they did. Well, at the age of 12, life drastically changed for me. A family member was murdered due to some corruption, that information that he found, probably government related. And the last thing I know that I recollect from that country is going from a life that was content, fulfilled, never spoiled, and then being woken up by maids in the middle of the night saying, "Be quiet." We had no idea that our lives had been threatened over and over and over. And as any parent would do, what would you do to protect your children?
Anything.
Anything. So because of the fact that our relative was violently murdered, I mean, to the point that it's just too heinous to even mention as to the things that happened to him, we had to disappear in the middle of the night. The last recollection I have was a van waiting for me outside with my family, my mom and my sister, and that started life in the United States. So even though we've come to this country as tourists in the past, right, now we had to leave everything behind and move to the country. We go from a life of comfort to a life of struggle, a life of lack. My mother having successful businesses and also in corporate. Now I found her basically working at a 7-Eleven gas station, making ends meet, making $3 an hour back then to support 2 daughters. And that started life in America for us.
Yeah. I appreciate you sharing that story, and I know there's a lot more to it,
Yes.
y'all. But we have a short amount of time to get all this great stuff in. So I'd like to talk about your heart.
Yes.
You know, and you can go from there.
You're
you
right.
know.
So the heart space, this story continues. I grew up, get married, have 2 kids. The Philippines, the country that I left, ends up getting hit with a massive hurricane. It was the planet's strongest hurricane to ever make landfall. And something in me, after seeing a news of a mom losing her 2 children that she couldn't even bury due to lack of resources and lack of basically any even space, right? It looks like a nuclear bomb went off in this town where the hurricane hit. Something broke in me of saying, I have to do something, and a prayer was offered. And it literally went, help me help them, and activate all the gifts you've given me to help me reach them. And that started my journey to where I am today. Because what started as an epiphany and an event called One Night, One Voice that was supposed to be a small cabaret concert, and this number 20 was in my heart. Talk about a heart message. God just said 20, 20, 20, and I'm like, oh, I guess I'm supposed to invite 20 of my closest friends. In 3 weeks becomes a miracle movement of its own, takes on a life of its own. Before I could ask for anything, it was being provided in so many different spaces. And that number 20 that I thought I was supposed to invite, no, ended up being attended by almost 650 full capacity, with not a penny spent on a benefit concert that landed and aided 20,000 lives halfway around the world. This is why that number 20 was so evident, because God was basically telling me, if you don't step up and say yes to your purpose, there's 20,000 lives waiting for you to take this and say yes, and just sing from your heart, speak from your heart, because the money that will be earned from this is supposed to help 20,000 people. And that's exactly what it did. In 3 weeks, this event comes to life, and a few months later, the result of that is sustainability gardens, massive feeding programs, it just went on, and then it changed the trajectory of my calling. That landed in the speaking stages. There was a separation from corporate life that I was with for 22 years, living in a bubble of comfort. But then the calling came to do something greater. That now gave birth to UNICEF Unite, the creation of a volunteer team in children advocacy representing 190 countries and impacting community, city, and global, connectivity and building relationships. That led to me writing the book called Women Who Influence as a co-author. It got accepted in the Library of Congress. It became an international bestseller. And then the bigger stages happened. The bigger stages, as far as I spoke at the United States of Women, that was keynoted by former First Lady Michelle Obama, Tarana Burke, founder of Me Too, and then I was invited by Les Brown's team to speak as the only female keynote speaker. So this has not stopped. I've covered many, many stages, but then media came calling too. So the prayer I uttered 2013 continues to fall of God's activation on the gifts that He has for me, so I can not only raise awareness, but an empowerment space, going back to kingdom purpose in every single facet. I landed on television shows. I have my own that's on break as we prepare for season 2. I ended up with a podcast called Life Unscripted that is now on iHeart, Spotify, iTunes, and Spreaker, right? And we're just growing. But again, the downloads have been massive because it talks about unscripting your life.
You've had some great,
guests. Yes. Oh my gosh, I've been blessed with the global influencers saying yes to a startup podcast at that time, and then I landed 2 international magazines. Right?
Come on.
It's called Business Booster. It's a German #1 magazine on entrepreneurship that is with 148 million reader reach in over 74 countries and in 20 countries in print, and massive growth from there, and also Manila Up International. So the gift of communication is something that I've always had ever since birth. But you know what? The biggest lesson that I wanted to share with your audience space and listeners today is don't hate experiences that hurt you.
Oh, that's deep.
Don't.
Yeah.
Because in my journey, if those things didn't happen in my life, having to disappear in the middle of the night, having to lose everything that we have, going up in a life of struggle and everything else, would not have positioned me to speak authentically about the children that is in refugee crisis around the world and represent them in advocacy in one of the causes that we talk about, would not have given me experiences that I can draw from, right? And say, I know how that feels. I know how that feels because I've been there. And even in different facets of my life, it would not have given me the courage to really speak up. And even with United States of Women, we talked about purpose, not position. Everybody gets caught up with this title, right? And when I spoke at the stage of Les Brown, one of the messages that I strongly delivered from the heart, because we're talking about heart space, is that, it doesn't matter whether you're wearing a Rolex or a Timex, because the time that you look at remains the same.
Yes, Lord.
Or whether somebody's driving a Bentley or a beat-up Toyota, because the road they travel in remains the same, right? Or whether you travel or ride on the plane on first class or in economy, because the destination of that plane remains the same, but people get so caught up on this raising the standards of their living that they have forgotten to raise the standards of their life. So I speak on truth principles of that, of just saying, we get so caught up with keeping up with the Joneses, or this massive why, or selling from the stage, which I don't do, instead of empowering the message of your true journey of embrace even though if it hurts, because all of that are golden threads to prepare you for your purpose.
They are. And one of my mentors, Dr. Lance London, always talks about remaining humble.
Yes.
No matter what you have, and that's a nice analogy. I want to also talk about what you're doing. I know I missed the last event in Florida, but something's getting ready to happen.
There's many things. There's many things getting ready to happen. I literally have some invitations even from out of the country to speak, right? And a season 2 that is happening, and even within the UNICEF space, that's growing. I started the team with maybe a team of 10 less than 3 years ago. Apparently, according to UNICEF headquarters, we now have over 100. And I gotta find out where all the other people are. But there's such a movement and a positive ripple effect. There's offer of another TV show, right? So this is the message to move forward in your purpose, because I'm going to give you another nugget. Listen to this. The longer you delay on the calling that you have, the more people suffer.
Oh, my God. This is so true. Because people need to hear messages, and you have to get through that storm to be able to talk about it when the sunshine.
Right. And don't withhold information to yourself, right? But the longer you delay in your calling, with all the 10 million excuses we can come up with of saying, I'm not good enough, I'm telling you, you are. This is why you're given those experiences.
And also waiting on a sponsor. Don't wait on a sponsor.
No.
Do it yourself.
And keep going, because in my experience with One Night, One Voice, the sponsors met me the moment I started taking the steps towards, I had no idea where I was going. All I knew is I had an end purpose.
You just started walking.
I just said, I have to help people halfway around the world to a country that I even felt betrayed from, but they need it, because, what would you do when you get messages like I did that says, help us, we're starving? From people I didn't know. Help us. We can't find our parents and they're dying from this storm, right? I mean, that is on my conscience, and it really ignited the flames to start saying, all right, God's got this figured out. I'm just going to start walking, and as the more I walk with such ferocity and passion to help, right, the more big doors opened.
And look, her middle name is Passion, as you can see firsthand, but I've been talking with her for over a year, and she's passionate in everything she says and does. I want to talk about the connection with UNICEF and how that has changed your life.
Well, with UNICEF it's funny, sometimes people will say the universe gives signs, sometimes there's clues that leaves you behind. When I did One Night, One Voice, and this is what kind of started my curiosity, I was looking back at the pictures I received from the children they set up temporary housings, because they lost everything from the storm. And I was going through those pictures of One Night, One Voice. In the background was a UNICEF tent. And this is after I already started UNICEF team.
That's
3
universal
years
law.
ago.
My God.
And I was like, wow, that's pretty interesting that UNICEF was kind of in the background of One Night, One Voice, when that wasn't even my focus of starting. So how did UNICEF change my life? Well, I do this from a heart space. My entire team is completely voluntary. But you know what? It gave us and gave me an authentic vision of what an organization like UNICEF really does for children. I mean, I could go on to statistics, but put it this way. It's the single organization in the entire world for children that has saved the most children's lives.
Wow.
Okay, we're going to go over, we have a special other guest that we're going to bring on later on that can go a little bit more into the statistics. But when you see, like yesterday we were on a summit, and I was actually one of the key presenter. I was actually a breakout session speaker for UNICEF, and the UNICEF branding that was a bucket list because to try to get through UNICEF speaking space is very hard.
Yeah,
So
the vetting process is quite.
The vetting process is very strict because of course they have to care about their brand, but not only their brand, the message, the depth. Do you really have that experience? Again, experiences I can draw from, and I spoke about the power of telling your story as we prepared 400 people up on Capitol Hill on the ability to share stories from the heart today so that those children stops being, statistics and numbers. Instead, we put faces and feelings with them and then make people realize just how fortunate we are. But that they grow up into spaces of everyday crisis, right? So it's changed my life when I realized that my existence can impact on a global scale without even leaving home.
Come on now. Woo. Well, look, we're going to take a short break.
Yes.
And we'll be right back with another young lady I just met today who is a part of your team.
Yes,
right?
UNICEF
And-
Unite Orlando.
And we're going to talk more about that. Okay,
Yes.
so stay right there.
You're welcome, Miss.
Miss Renee Show.
Make sure y'all tune in.
With Miss Renee Show.
Tune in.
Miss Renee Show.
Yeah, tune in.
Miss Renee Show.
Oh yeah, I need you to tune in.
Miss Renee Show.
We just getting started, but tune in, y'all.
Miss Renee Show.
In a minute we gonna have to leave, but
You're listening to Sharice Jones and Mustafa Captain. Soul
yeah,
Star. Thank you for tuning in. I love them. I want the show to end. God
yeah.
bless you. Stay tuned for H.O. Barner, Our Power.
Okay, let's go.
Miss Renee Show.
I think I feel good right now on it.
Miss Renee Show.
Yeah.
Miss Renee Show.
Uh-oh.
I said Mustafa.
Miss Renee Show.
I say Mustafa.
We on the Miss Renee Show.
I say Mustafa.
Miss Renee Show.
Here's Morgan Johnson. No perfume. Miss Renee Show.
Okay, I like that right there. Miss Renee Show.
Renee Allen and friends, y'all.
Hey, Miss Renee Show. Oh yeah, we on.
Miss Renee Show. Thank you for tuning in.
God bless. Good night, y'all.
Show. Better sing it one more time, y'all. Awesome.
Hey. Miss Renee Show. Hey, Miss Renee Show. Where we at on Miss Renee Show? I said where we at, y'all, on the Miss Renee Show. Yeah, where we at, y'all? Hey, where we at, y'all? Right here on Georgia Avenue. Oh yeah, we right here, y'all.
Miss Renee Show.
We gon' sing right here.
Miss Renee Show.
Yeah, Miss Renee.
Show.
Oh yeah, we gon' do it here.
Miss Renee Show.
Right here in Listen Vision, y'all.
Renee Show.
Oh yeah, Miss Renee.
Welcome back to the Renee Allen and Friends show right here on WLVS, the largest online radio broadcast in the United States. I'm so excited to be here with this special edition with Melanie Garcia, and it's just a wonderful experience to not only see her, have dinner with her the other night, and some of our friends, but also to learn more about her on this special edition of the Renee Allen and Friends show. Welcome back.
Thank you. And guess what? I have a surprise for you.
Yes.
We have a +1 on my left. And I actually wanted to bring her on board. I'm glad that she can move at the same speed that we do.
Yes.
It's like, you're coming with me. She's like, what are we doing?
No choice.
But I want to introduce to you, she's actually recording artist, gospel singer, but she's part of my UNICEF Unite Orlando team. A new member, and this was her first time advocating for children around the world on Capitol Hill, and what a baptism. We had 18 meetings. We secured 6 for ourselves. The other teams divided it. But I wanted to introduce her to the world because she did a phenomenal job speaking there like a professional, like she knew her things, right? But I wanted to basically introduce her, what she does, and talk about her experience on Capitol Hill and give some of those data that we talked about.
Please do.
Yeah, so a little bit about myself. So I'm originally from DC, but I live in Orlando now, and I'm part of Melody's team for UNICEF. But by day, I'm a fashion business retail leader. So I'm an area manager. I manage Florida and Chicago, a few stores for a Japanese business. By night, I'm an artist, so I'm recording and I do inspirational music, so that's really my passion. And then I also have some other philanthropical things that I'm doing on the side as well. My experience on the Hill today was so impactful. I didn't realize the impact that your voice has, and the fact that you could even walk into your congressman's office and have a conversation with their legislative aide. I think it's so important for people to know that if you have something that you stand for, you have a voice. And this is one of the few places in the world where you can actually walk into your congressman's office and let your voice be heard. So that was just super impactful for me.
Can you give us, I'm just piggybacking
Yes,
off my co-host.
yes.
Can you piggyback, talk about the one thing that you took away from the Hill today?
I mean, there's so many, so I have to pick one.
Pick a few.
But I think in general, it's important for us to understand, well, with UNICEF specifically, I want to state that, like Melody mentioned, UNICEF is the largest organization that offers humanitarian support for children and moms specifically. And from a statistical standpoint, the mortality rate of children between under the age of 5 from 1990 until now has actually dropped by 62% because of UNICEF's efforts.
Come on,
62.
UNICEF.
Yeah, so it's super important what we were doing on the Hill today in securing the budget so that we could continue to do that work. So my biggest takeaway for anyone would just be if there's something that you believe in and you know that there's a positive cause, really partner with, movers and shakers like Melody and get involved in your community because, there needs to just be more voices.
Absolutely. So part of the causes that we also fight for is child trafficking, which is just prevalent in every single nation
My
that you can
God,
think of.
yes.
Florida ranks number 3 in human trafficking, right?
didn't know
in the
that.
U.S., which is just sad. It's not just about Disney glamour. It's the fact that we're fighting this. Then UNICEF intercepted several millions of little girls, preventing them from becoming child brides. We have crisis from Rohingya, right? Bangladesh, things that from Syria, that just the horrific conditions. Let's talk real quickly for a few seconds about the water.
Yeah,
Situation.
so also in general with children, part of the reason why children are dying overseas is because of lack of good water. So there's an organization that UNICEF has that's called WASH. And that organization provides clean water to third world countries. And just from the mortality rate, 12.7 million children dying on a yearly basis to now dropping to 5.7. Those are efforts of UNICEF specifically. And part of the reason why children die, half of the reason is because of lack of water, causing diarrhea, dehydration, and then death. So to know that things that we take for granted, like water, could save so many people's lives is just mind-blowing.
Melanie, you know how to pick them, girl.
Oh, and here's, can I give you a success story on, because again, I have over 22 years experience in leadership and management, right, and building winning sales teams.
Yes.
Part of the Orlando success, and for any of your businesses, whether you're an entrepreneur or corporate worker out there, is to be able to partner with like-minded, focused vision. Now, we're going to have different personalities, which is fine. However, vetting process is critical. Vetting process is critical because you know that statement they said about one rotten tomato infecting the rest in the basket,
ma'am.
right?
Hallelujah.
Is that we can complement each other with our differences and really build on our strengths that are similar. But it is finding people with the same journey to impact lives.
So we all raise our hands for a minute. Come on.
But it's also finding people with a mission, vision, and focus that is bigger than themselves, that has no ego on a pedestal, which is very rare because everything's about the I.
There's that humble pie again.
Yes.
Humility.
And I ask one question, what is your why? Give me that powerful reason. And she was very upfront. She's like, I thought I knew it until I met you. And I basically said, you know what? It's not just about coaching, it's taking you under my wing and growing leaders so that when I take on other things in my plate, it's people like her that are ready to take on the responsibilities that are being left behind because she's ready for it. So it's growing and not just being selfish about the gifts that you have, but getting them ready.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, I have to say, you, my niece graduated cum laude at Howard University.
Congratulations.
Oh, wow.
Okay, I get to do this.
You know, communications, and she's in LA, but you and she favor each other. That's why I keep staring at you.
Oh,
yeah, Shayna
yay.
Calandra. I had to drop that because you're going to see when I show you.
Okay.
But listen, tell me, how long have you been with Melanie?
About a
Met
year,
last year,
yeah.
right?
Oh, about the same time. So we're
Yes,
about the
alignment,
same.
alignment.
So what's a few of the adjectives that you would give the viewers that are going to be watching this about Melanie Garcia?
I mean, she's powerful. I think in general, like a mover, a shaker. She's super determined. She's focused, intentional, and I think that those are all things that make her so great. And the most important is she's kingdom driven. Everything she does ties back to the purpose of what is she here on earth for. And I think when she asked me what my why was, I was like, you know what? I need to go back and revisit because I've just learned so much in terms of how living with purpose is how you live fully. It's not about living and existing. It's about living fully and having a full life. So,
And that's okay because each decade that we become women 20, 30, 40 and beyond, we are growing and becoming different, you know?
Right.
So it's okay to regroup and figure out the new why.
Right, and especially when now that she's had a taste of what a global visionary leader, you know, amongst all of them, to see the CEO of UNICEF USA just have pictures with them, right? The humility
Come on
that
now.
comes, but yet the impact on millions of lives, right? And then she actually does something, if I can take about 5 seconds to promote this lady. She
Absolutely.
empowers young women and children. And she does Time for Tea in Orlando that teaches etiquette, the lost art of etiquette, through a simple gifting called tea, right? So she teaches and empowers, and that's why I said, I'm going to watch out for this one.
Wow.
Because she has that light
Yeah.
within her. One light always recognizes the other.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? And
Yes,
that's why,
ma'am.
and you feel it.
Yes,
You
and
feel
I have
it.
to say, the Zontas that are an organization a friend of mine, Stanita's a part of, Stanita Scott, they're getting ready to have a tea. And I'm going to see if they need a speaker.
There we go. Because Zantes
Yeah.
is actually one of the people, I think, are they 100 years old? Celebration?
Probably. They've
Because
been
I thought
around a
that
long
was
time.
One of the
that was the
partners.
partners part of the sponsor for UNICEF. I think that's the same company, if
Yeah,
I'm not
Zontas,
mistaken.
they are
Yeah.
on the move and they do a lot of great things. So remind me because I want to connect you with her.
Yes, for sure. Thank you.
You're welcome. So this is what like-minded women do. They shine light and light pilot lights to other women and don't flick a light.
Absolutely. No, we don't. We have to ignite each other because there's a lot of need out there. You know, whether we grow our businesses, whether it's monetization, whether it's a globalization for humanity, you know, whether it's unification, you can't do it alone. Anybody who thinks that they can be successful doing it alone, don't listen to them. I'm telling you this. It's because it takes friendship, it takes building relationships, it takes community, it takes global connectivity to really attain that success that you're looking for. I have yet to meet a multimillionaire or billionaire in the space, and I'm surrounded by them, that has ever gotten to success alone.
And I have to say, because you were supposed to have another guest and he was not able to
Yes.
make it, but she showed me a video of this gentleman. And maybe in the future we can do a podcast or something.
Yes,
Because I was
and we might be back
blown-
in DC.
Yes, and you
Yes.
are more than welcome. We'll roll out the carpet for you and any of your guests.
Yes.
But this gentleman, I'd like you to give a little shout out because the video that I saw, one of them blew my mind.
So this is my brother from another. His name is AJ Gupta, who's actually the son of one of my mentors. This young man is just amazing and speaking from the heart. Again, like-minded and heart space,
Yes, yeah.
right? But I want to show you his true dedication. He literally, in 6 days, flew from Orlando to China for 2 days, to Hong Kong for another couple of days, then flew to DC just to be able to join us in the UNICEF space in advocacy. Now, It landed him in the emergency room,
Wow.
but it didn't stop him from giving support. Come on, that shows through dedication. Who flies halfway around the world to join us at Capitol Hill,
And
or attempted
who's
to?
able to.
Right, who's able to. But that tenacity, right? He is so well connected with some of the biggest gurus, quote unquote, in the world. But he always wants to know, how can he help others from a heart space? I'm going to share with you, and I coach on this, right? So among many things is I'm an entrepreneur, but I coach on this, and this is a gift to your listeners for having us.
Thank you for that gift.
3 things that I want you to have focus on that I can share is give. So there's 3 G's, right? Give from your heart, give your time, give your energy, give your talent, give your money. Give without expectation. It's harder than people think, but give. Second, you have to grow, meaning grow your circle. Let go of the ones that no longer serve you, right? Grow your knowledge, grow your wisdom. Invest in yourself and personal development.
Yes.
Grow, because you're going to need it. The world is changing at a rapid pace. And the last but not the least is gratitude.
Oh.
Gratitude is such a key. We live in a world that's instant gratification or keeping up with the Joneses. We just covered some true humanitarian crisis on things that will just break your heart, on the pictures that we saw, on the things that we heard testimonies from what's happening outside our space, right? Is that gratitude. Water takes on a whole new meaning after we have this weekend. Be grateful for everything that you have. Be grateful for the things that are coming. Be grateful no matter what you're going through. So grow, give, and gratitude. And I'm going to add another 4G there that I actually speak about. God.
Oh, yes.
Foundation of it all. God, give, grow, gratitude. Those are your 4 keys to successes in your life, in your relationship, in anything that you handle.
Yeah. Well, I'll take one of them for now and just say that I am totally grateful and full of gratitude to have you here today with your special guest, Tracy.
Yes.
And I look forward to growing and giving under the tutelage of God and with you.
Well, thank you. This is a lifetime friendship. Thank you so much for having us on your
You
guest.
are so welcome. I like you. We have a few more minutes, about 3.5 to be exact.
Okay.
If you could give them a way to get a hold of you, that would be amazing. Both of you.
Sure. So melodygarcia.org. And then you can find me on Instagram at Melody, that's Melody, Garcia VIP. That follows all my social media handles. But if you want to connect with me, you want to get in some coaching, mentorship space, speaking spaces, definitely connect with me, because we're here to basically serve all of you that are listening. And Tracy?
Yeah, so for me, Tracy Phipps, that's Tracy with a Tracey, Phipps with PHIPPS. I'm the same across all platforms, so you can find me on YouTube, on iTunes. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook, but definitely follow me so that you can also learn a little bit more about the initiatives that I have with UNICEF and with Time for Tea as well.
Absolutely. Well, I am sitting here with Melanie Garcia. We're getting ready to sign off on this special edition of the Renee Allen and Friends Show here on WLVS, which I love. They are my family. And I want you to know she's not only a best-selling, international best-selling author, she is an influencer. She is the bombdiggity.com. She is the type of woman that I love to be around. I'm always searching for good women because I'm the oldest of 3, and I've always had that, torch to fill and take care of and responsible for. So I'm always looking for women, and a lot of them let me down, And so when I find a good one, bam, boom,
Yeah, we
cut out.
hold on to that. We hold
it.
on.
Yes, I do.
Yes, we do.
Any other words you want to say?
Just again, the 4 G's: God, give, gratitude, grow, and always surround yourself with people that are even better than you, because that's how you're going to grow.
Good.
If you're the smartest person in that room, you're in the wrong room. If you're trying to let's say, be a millionaire, surround yourself with millionaires. Go find them. They will shortcut your success. Right? Don't be with the people that are dreamers that never takes the action.
Come on now.
Because they're just going to hold you back. And find mentors. And you should have multiple mentors and multiple coaches, because not everybody specializes in one field.
Yes. And I believe your name is Igor? Igor, I wanted to thank Igor, a new
Igor.
executive director or producer here at WLVS, along with my favorite Jacob. And just say, we're gonna take God, give, grow, and have gratitude. And thank you for all of your golden nuggets, both of you. And I love you to pieces. And tune in to her. Look out for her. She's getting ready to make some big, bold moves. God bless you. And see you on Wednesday at 7 p.m. on the Renee Allen and Friends Show.
Bye,
God
everyone.
Miss Renee Show.